Welcome to your introductory video on WebAssembly. My name is Caleb, and this video is really designed to give you the basics. You've never used WebAssembly and you want to get started. So we'll try to keep it pretty simple by first talking about what WebAssembly is and why you might want to use it. So WebAssembly is a binary instruction format. This will allow you to use other programming languages than just JavaScript within a web environment. It says here that Wasm is designed as a portable compilation target. What exactly does that mean? Well, say you're writing code in C++, Rust, Go, or any other of these languages besides JavaScript, and you would typically compile these to some target such as x86. Well, instead, you can compile it to Wasm, which is something that the browser can understand. This will allow you to do stuff that would typically be a desktop application now within the browser. So there's also this page which has a lot of good use cases, and you can look through this list and it's a bunch of stuff that would be pretty computationally expensive. Probably not something you're going to first think, oh, I'm going to build this in JavaScript. You're probably going to use a lower level language such as the ones mentioned, C++, Rust, or Go, or any of these other compiled languages. So if you want to do stuff like have games embedded in the browser, or have an embedded video editor in the browser, or build CAD applications, remote desktop, VPN, encryption, and all of these other computationally expensive tasks, this is where WebAssembly can fit that bill. You may be wondering, why would I want to put these things in a browser? Well, there's a few reasons why you might want to do this. It reduces the need for the end user to install things, and it will allow you to create cross-platform software from the get-go. So you don't have to worry about compiling to multiple different targets. You can just target WebAssembly, and that can work on all of the operating systems, anything that would support a modern web browser. So if you want to know what languages are supported, you can go to the Getting Started page on the WebAssembly website, and you can see a bunch of different languages here. However, it's important to know that this is not a language feature. This is a compilation target, meaning anybody could really take a programming language and implement a Wasm compiler. Now that's obviously not going to be an easy task, but it's not like C or C++ or any of these other languages have some language capability to write WebAssembly. Rather, it's a compiling process. So in the example of Rust, which is what I'm going to show you in this video, and I'm not going to assume any prior Rust knowledge, we're going to be using a tool called Wasmpack for building JavaScript packages in Rust. However, if you want to follow along with another programming language, once you understand the concepts of WebAssembly, you could apply this to any of these different languages here. And there might be support for other languages out there. These are just the most common, but you could probably find stuff for Python or anything else not on this list. So we'll pretty much be referencing this guide here, so I encourage you to check out this page as well. But I'll be showing you a few different things, so hopefully this video will be helpful in helping you understand this content. So the very first thing is, if you've never used Rust, then you will need to install. So you will want to go to the Rust homepage at rust-lang.org and then /tools/install. And you can run this command here in the terminal to install Rust. Then once you have Rust installed, you will need to use the package manager to install the needed tool to create WebAssembly. So for that, we will open a terminal and say cargo install Wasmpack. And I already have it, so it says that it's already there, so I don't have to install that. Then once you have this, we will create a new library in Rust. So to do this, you can say cargo new --lib, and then give it a name such as hello Wasm. And then we'll open this in an editor. I'm going to use Visual Studio Code. So this is going to be our project, and it's pretty simple. You're just going to have a cargo.toml file, and then the source, which has your actual Rust file, and then a git ignore. Now, very first thing, if you've never used Rust before, you will want to go over to extensions and search Rust, and then install the needed Rust extensions. So I'm using the Rust Analyzer and Rust Syntax. I think you can just install this group for Rust as well if you want to go that route. There's also an extension for TOML files, and that's called Even Better TOML. So I installed this as well. And that's going to give us the proper highlighting for the cargo file. This describes your package just like a package.json in Node, and we can go in here and define dependencies, the first one being something called Wasm bindgen, and the version for this is going to be 0.2, so that's what that will look like. And then we also need to add a section in here called lib, so that's going to look like square brackets lib, and then inside of here we will have crate type, and inside of square brackets, we will put c_die_lib. And you can read a little bit about that here. Typically signifies that you'd like the compiler to create a dynamic system library, but for WebAssembly target, it simply means create a Wasm file without a start function. So that is how we set up our Rust project to create WebAssembly. Now let's take a look at our actual Rust code. We're going to replace this code here so we can delete this. And the first thing we're going to do in here is import from a module. So we will say use wasm bind gen : prelude, and this will give us some of the most common Wasm stuff. And then : asterisk, so we will import everything from that. And then whenever you want to create a function for Wasm, you will use an attribute with pound square brackets and say wasm bind gen. So the first thing that we're going to have in here is going to say extern, and this is where we can define functions from JavaScript that we want to use in Rust. So we'll create one here for alert, which is going to use the JavaScript alert function, and this is going to take a string as a parameter, so we'll call that parameter s, and this will be of type str with the and sign. So this is a string slice in Rust. And if you have a hard time understanding any of the Rust syntax, I have a 1-hour intro crash course to Rust. Highly encourage you to check that out. Oops, I forgot a M here. So this is how we can use things from JavaScript. Next up, we're going to define Rust specific stuff. So another attribute, wasm bind gen, and we'll create a function, we'll call it greet, and this will take a parameter which will also be a string, which we can say is the user's name, and that'll be a string slice. Then we will use the alert function, and then we'll pass in an argument, which we will generate a string using the format macro, and it'll look something like this, kind of like a function call, but you'll have the exclamation mark, and we'll say hello, and then pass in that name. So it'll look like this. That is pretty much all the Rust code we're going to start with. So you've written your Rust code. Now we can compile. To do this, we will say wasm pack build and then -- target being web. This can take some time as it's going to go through all of our files. And this is going to generate a package folder. And this is going to have JavaScript files, which binds into the WebAssembly that we created. So you can go in here, for example, and you should find a function for greet, and you can see that right here. Now we're going to talk about using Wasm from a web page. So we'll go in and create an index.html file at the root of our project. And I'm going to paste in a basic example of an HTML page. It's pretty simple overall. I just don't want to type all that out on this video. And if you want to copy paste this, you can also find it in the MDN docs, scrolling through here, and you will find that here. And this will import that function and allow us to invoke it in JavaScript code. Now for this to work, we're going to serve this file from a web server. I'm going to use a very simple web server that can be installed as an NPM package. There are various other ways you could do this. For example, Python has something very similar as well. But for me, I'm just going to go into the terminal and install HTTP server. And this will allow us to very easily start a local server. So HTTP server. And then it'll give us a URL that we can open with command or control clicking. That'll open a web browser. And it says hello WebAssembly. So what's going on here? It's taking our name, which we said is WebAssembly, passing it to greet, going over to our source code. That's going to be this parameter here, which is then going to invoke alert, formatting a string that says hello followed by that name. So we're not getting a ton of value from the WebAssembly here because we're basically just using it to then invoke JavaScript. So we don't really need this extra complicated stuff, but this gives you the setup so then you can build out more complex things. So how might you use this? Well, computationally expensive stuff could be done on the Rust side, and you could then keep your JavaScript layer much more thin. I'll show you just a very basic example of this by creating a separate function here. And I'm going to create a function to calculate Fibonacci numbers. But you could just imagine substituting this for any computationally expensive stuff or tying into a Rust code base that is already written. I've seen this with blockchains, for example, that are written in Rust. If you have some SDK, you can pull that into your web development very easily with WebAssembly. So we'll say function Fibonacci, or just fib. This is going to take a number, we'll call it n, and we'll say this is a U32. And this is going to give us back a Fibonacci number. So we'll say U32. Then we'll use a match against n. If it's 0, we will give back 0. If it's 1, we will give back 1. which is the start of the Fibonacci numbers. So if you look up Fibonacci sequence, you can see 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. And the formula is basically just adding up the previous two Fibonacci numbers. So for 2, we will say fib of n minus 1 plus fib of n minus 2. Very easy way of organizing this. And actually, this wouldn't be just 2. We would want this to be for everything else. So you can use an underscore to indicate that. Then we could just use this down here in our other function to see an example of that. So say instead of them passing their name, they pass a number, which will be of type U32. And then we can calculate num being fib of n. And then we could substitute both of those in. So we'll just put 2 sections here. And the first one being n, and then the next being num. So basically now when the user calls this, they will pass in not a string, but the Fibonacci number that they want to call or calculate. So we could say 6, for example. So now we will recompile. So we will close out of our server, Wasm pack build, and then we will restart our server, head back to the browser and do a refresh. You might need to do a hard reload, so you can just hold that down while you have the terminal up, and that will refresh the page. So the 6th Fibonacci number is 8. That's the general process of working with WebAssembly and Rust. Obviously, this is just scratching the surface. I wanted to give you the starter information as quickly as possible. If you guys would like, I might come back to this topic and do a more in-depth project of some kind. Let me know if that's something you might be interested in. But thanks for watching, and until next time, please be sure to subscribe. Definitely support this channel by turning on notifications. Would appreciate that a lot. I also want to mention 2 helpful resources. I have a link to a free intro course to the software development career. This will be linked down below. It's with a platform called Course Careers. And then secondly, I have a lot of my YouTube videos up on my website, ad-free and downloadable, which can give you a new learning experience. So definitely check that out if you'd be interested. And with that, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.